You're listening to What It's Like with Luce, a podcast highlighting ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I'm your host Lucy Norris, and on today's episode, I'm sitting down with founder of iDAL, a professional booking platform and community for models, providing an alternative to traditional agencies by streamlining bookings. Her earliest ambitions to be a journalist took this young entrepreneur from Kazakstan to London, where she would meet the model behind her idea. Chatting to a friend about the struggles within the industry, they stumbled upon a solution to making things more flexible for young girls wanting to model and study at the same time. What began as a fun part-time project slowly transformed into a platform with the potential to change the way model booking operated forever. Talking me through the journey from accidentally meeting an angel investor to finding her perfect co-founder in lockdown, here's what it's like to be Mariya Grinina. Welcome, Mariya. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me today. Before we get stuck into the details of your career and your businesses, I want to take it back to the very beginning, to when you were growing up and where that entrepreneurial spark came from initially.
Oh, nice question. First of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast. I think maybe that could have come from my parents. I'm from Kazakhstan, and I've never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be a journalist because my favorite subject at school was Russian language and literature, and there wasn't much you would do with those skills apart from writing stories. And journalism was a way to do it. I went to study journalism at University of Westminster, and then I met my friend who was a quite successful model. Actually, an idea to start a business came from her. She was quite an inspiration because she started her career really young, and she's from a single mother family, not from a super small village somewhere in Belarus. So she made it to the world thanks to modeling. And she earned enough money to go study in London and completely pay for her life, which is extremely expensive, especially in comparison to Belarus. So that was really inspiring. And she showed me that modeling career can be quite a positive and really like empowering thing if you take good care of yourself and of your money and not spend them while you're earning them. And she said one thing like, oh, I wish I could model when I am studying, but I can't do it with an agency because they would put pressure on me and I would have to prioritize modeling, and I can't do that. So that's where she was like, oh, it would be nice if it was like an Uber or Airbnb kind of platform for modeling, where I could like place my profile and choose jobs that I would want to do. And we thought, oh, that sounds interesting. Why don't we tell about it to other people? And then suddenly this idea was more interesting because more people reacted to it well and thought it was a good idea. And at that time, I was actually at my third year at uni, and I was working as a journalist for Monocle magazine and a radio station. I also did podcasts there. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I felt like, oh, I love journalism. I actually like so very much enjoy doing it, but I'll try starting a business too, just for fun. And I offered to my friend to actually start that company, to create like a platform for models, but she didn't want to do it because she wanted to be a journalist and full time. She went to work on to BBC, whereas I have finished university and I was like really part time in Monocle. So I started working on this project, and eventually it became a proper business. Very surprisingly, I was super young. I didn't know anything how to do anything because no business school, no fine. I had no idea what is like nothing about finances. So that actually came just by surprise. Somehow life got me there, and that now I feel like I mean, definitely I'm an entrepreneur. I think I will stay so. Companies may change, but I'll definitely always be an entrepreneur. If that answers your question in a very long
Yeah,
way.
yeah, no, it does. It's so interesting. And that's such a cool story about how you met your friend and then you wanted to solve the problem for her. I think that's a really nice founding story that you have for your company. But I suppose, I mean, this is a very open, broad question, but how did you start? How do you take, as you said, you didn't have any business training or anything like that. You were working really hard to become a journalist, and in your spare time, you just wanted to try this out for fun. So, what is the first steps? You sit down at your desk, you have the idea. What happens next?
Yeah, well, first you need to learn. um, I basically, my first thing was that I was just Googling um, things like what is revenue, what is cash flow, how to like create a business plan, what is pitch deck. Basically, first thing I did, I had to learn, create some sort of foundation for myself so that I can at least speak to people about business. Because, just start, I guess, first among the other first things would be to talk to people about your idea. And so that you don't completely like feel intimidated, you need to get at least some kind of terminology. And another thing I did, we actually, with that friend, we went to accidentally we said this idea to one of our friends in a bar, and he really liked the idea, and he said he was working at quite a important bank at the time, and apparently he is a big startup investor. I didn't even know back then what the angel investor is,
Yeah.
but he apparently was an angel investor in 15 different startups, and he was doing it professionally as like his like side thing. So he said that this idea sounds really interesting, and if I was to start it and do a proper business plan that he'd like, he would invest in it and help me out finding new investors. So that obviously incentivized me more and got me more interested, and I felt like, oh, I do have opportunity here. So I took more effort and learned more and faster. I also took some courses on Udemy about business, and eventually put together a business plan. But another thing that helped was having a mentor, because again, through my network, I found a friend who at the time I guess the stars have connected and everything was good for me at the time. I was lucky. He also started a startup kind of incubator exactly at the time when I had that idea. So I was among his first projects. He took me on to mentor me and advise me, so that I can also have a person to talk to about like ideas, challenges, and ask questions, etc. So that also helped a lot. And I guess, yeah, these first three things that I did was to learn on my own, to talk to people, find people who would be interested for it in the future, and find a mentor. And with these three things, I think it was quite a good and not that difficult journey for me.
I always think it's so crazy when life kind of aligns like that as well. How you talk about, accidentally meeting your friend in a bar and telling him your story and things like that. Sometimes I feel like maybe things just are they're just meant to be, or you're meant to be on this path.
Yeah.
But I suppose in terms of the modeling industry, it's quite a notorious industry, for various different reasons, always having criticism thrown at it. When you first started to, you know, become a disruptor in the modeling industry in terms of how people were hired, what was your initial experience entering into that world and how did you find it?
Well, that's a good question, because like one of the main things that made me passionate about the project in the beginning, and passion is very important, is solving a problem within the industry, and that problem is treatment of young people. Um, and in modeling industry, it's well, as a model, you enter into the industry pretty young. I mean, 13, 14. Now it's getting better. Now it's a later age when you enter, but you still enter at like 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
And at that age, you don't really know much about life or managing your own money, especially at this point is pretty important. And you are so desperate for new opportunities and so desperate to become somebody. So it's very easy to get into trouble and being mistreated. And that is extremely common in the modeling industry, especially, well, you earn huge amount of money sometimes, but if you don't manage that smartly, you can be easily fooled, and that is a huge problem. And speaking to many models, and like when I started, when thinking of this idea as a journalist, I knew I need to speak to as many people as possible to get to the root of it. I spoke to many friends and model friends, and then they would introduce me to other model friends. And all of them would always complain about really, really delayed payments, or expenses that, like, they would get a statement from model agency and they would have like huge amount of expenses that they would never even know or approve if they were asked. Like, it's pretty common stupid things, like they're charged for a haircut like a 200 quid, whereas
Hmm.
if they knew, they would choose a 30 quid haircut instead.
Yeah.
Because they, in the end of the day, yeah, the agencies pay for them in the beginning, but then they charge them back. And very often you can earn a lot of money, but in the end you would end up with very little, or you would even like owe money to the agency. And then the payments come to you like 3 months later, 6 months later, etc. And no transparency. You have to like chase some people, those people send you to other people, and then to other people, and then you like never ever know where to go. So that was very frustrating to me. And I thought that probably I would make that my mission, in the company that I'm founding, to bring some transparency, efficiency, to help young people understand what they do, to manage their money, and to be able to have some sort of control over their work. And that was the idea. I guess not the idea, but like the founding principle, that we embedded into our company. And yeah, just to mention, back then it was called Finda, and now it's iDAL. But this principle of making things more fair and transparent has really remained there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
definitely, I think it's so surprising because obviously, again, it's an industry that looks from the outside so glamorous. And maybe if people hear what you can earn from it and things like that, they just think, oh, easy ride or whatever, but they don't understand all of the things that go on behind the scenes. It's interesting that you're trying to highlight that and point that out and fix it as well, because it's obviously not right. And you mentioned there you began your journey with this whole mission under the name Finda, and it's now iDAL. So can you take me through that journey and what happened with all of that?
Sure. Well, in the beginning, obviously, I was more or less alone as a founder. I found a co-founder, but he was a technical co-founder, and he's been great, helping with the whole technology, and he was like a very ethical, also like ethics-driven person. But the problem of our little team was that we didn't have necessary relationships within the industry. I was very naive, starting in such a harsh and completely relationships based, old fashioned industry without having anybody with relationships on board.
Mhm.
I thought that would work, but that wasn't working. Modeling industry is really based on relationships, on who you know, what your reputation, etc. So obviously, business needs to make money, and without having those relationships with certain clients, we weren't able to make enough money to sustain ourselves. And the concept of Finda was pure platform based. So we would connect through technology a model directly to a client, and that was a good idea, and it's still working, and we still do have clients working directly with models through a platform, but it requires a huge investment to make it sustainable in the end, because we would be introducing a solution to an industry that doesn't really want this change, and that would require a huge amount of money invested into marketing and education of the market. So basically, 2 years in, we understand it isn't working. And with Corona coming as like coming into the picture, that was really clear that it's unlikely to work.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was like, "Whoo, okay, that is an interesting moment. We could go bankrupt, or we could change the concept like pretty strongly." And again, the stars aligned, and I managed to meet Ian, my new co-founder, and we like connected digitally, and for some reason it like clicked immediately. Like when you fall in love with somebody, like from the first sight, I guess the same happened there, but it's not like love; it's co-founder love.
Mm-hmm.
We like from the first phone call, it was a feeling that it's like extremely right to be together in this business journey. And with him, we revised my company that was there before, and the team that they had before. And we revised what he has to offer and his ideas. And we decided to completely relaunch the company under a new brand and with entirely new team and a slightly pivoted concept. And we've done that pretty quickly, like since we met in April, made a decision in May, and rebranded and rebuilt the team by beginning of August, and also raised money by September, by first money. So we've been pretty quick, and now it's almost a year since we are working together, and it's been incredibly amazing. So yeah, the 2020 was a year of transformation for me in business
Yeah.
and for the company. But again, that was lucky. And I'm glad that I didn't give up on the concept, although I was really near that,
Yeah.
especially with such a hit by COVID-19. But yeah, now we are nice, happy, set for the good future.
Yeah, definitely sounds like you had a mad year last year. You must have been so busy
Oh yeah.
getting all of that done. But, and so
Mhm.
you also said there, you highlighted a point where you were trying to provide a solution to an industry that maybe didn't want to fix the problems or weren't aware of the problems they had. So, what was that integral pivot that you had in this relaunch, in this new company that you founded with the co-founder that you mentioned there, you found in 2020? What was the key thing that you changed that then made turned it into a solution that this traditional old-fashioned industry did want to listen to?
So instead of being against agency world like the platform was, we've embraced the agents, and we've embraced the value that they can bring, which I'm really happy about. So Ian is he's always been an agent, and he's been a senior manager at one of the top model agencies in the world, and like built pretty impressive like world supermodels, current ones. So with his expertise and his connections, we managed to look at the concept like differently and understand that, well, if clients and big models prefer some personal management and personal attention and some guidelines and like creative direction, etc., that only agents can offer, technology cannot offer it yet. Why don't we still be an agency, or have that agent part with us and support it and make it more efficient and transparent with help of technology? So basically, if Finda was a direct booking platform, we are iDAL, is an agency powered by a platform. So with us, clients can book talent and get casting services and similar services through agents, or they can choose to book models directly through a platform. And this way, a client has a choice, and they're much more likely to work with us. And also, they have a full support of an agent when they need to, and assistance. And on the model side, is similar. Models can choose to be signed to us as an agency on an exclusive basis, where they get more support in terms of, yes, they do have an app and they have transparency in terms of they have invoices in their app, they have opportunities to get paid even before the client pays, all the technology stuff that was making their life easier. But they also get expert agent management in terms of like they can turn to somebody within our company and get advice on how to build their careers, what kind of image they need to move towards. They can get more like kind of editorial advice, and basically all the personal stuff that they would get in a usual agency. Or they can choose just to be on a platform, pay a much smaller commission from bookings, and decide on their bookings by themselves without any agent interference. Basically, we're kind of a hybrid agency and platform. This way, honestly, works much better.
Yeah, it sounds like a really cool piece of, technology and concept at the same time. And, you know, do you think that this is the future of the modeling industry? Do you think this is something that is going to be implemented across the board moving forward?
Well, we hope so,
Yeah.
of course. So our ambition is to become the destination to work with talent. So I don't know what other agencies or competitors are going to do, but I would hope that we would become the largest database of talent, because um, even for clients, to make things efficient, they would prefer to go to one place to book talent. But right now, when they want to find somebody really particular, they have to go through a very long, time-consuming and cost kind of pressuring process, where they have to hire casting directors, or they have to hire quite a few people to be able to find that talent through multiple agencies in multiple directions. Whereas if we stick to our vision and achieve it, they would be able to find everybody in one place. And it is not to say that we would eliminate other agencies. We would work with them together to create that easy solution for a client. So yeah, we do hope that it is the future of the industry, because it also will make it more efficient and transparent, and will help young people to manage their careers through one app where all their finances and jobs, etc., are clearly shown to them. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think it should be anyway. It sounds like the most logical step forward. And I like how at the center of everything you're doing, you have a very strong ethical focus and, you have strong beliefs tied to everything that you're doing. And I know that you've just launched an educational program as well for future female founders. So can you tell me a bit about that and how that came about?
Sure. Although I've been very busy during COVID, during this pandemic, in January this year, I got still very much frustrated with this third wave of, or whatever. I don't even remember what is this order
Yeah,
of
I don't know
things.
either.
Yeah. In UK, it was pretty depressing, because London isn't the funnest place in winter with its weather. And the best thing in London is really to just go out and have all those amazing events and parties that London is really famous for. But without it, is like when you're stuck in four walls and it's really cold and completely dark outside all the time. It's really depressing. So although I'm super inspired by iDAL, um, without having any social life, I needed to have something else to do and to be inspired by, so that I can like live through it. And I suddenly came up with this idea. I thought I remembered myself when I just wanted to start a business, but I had to learn everything on my own, and I did it online through Udemy courses and YouTube. And I wouldn't find like one course that would tell me everything. I would just myself think of things I need to learn, and I would find them in different resources. And also, I would never actually be able to find answers to questions that are related to just being a young female founder, because there aren't many like young women that would talk about necessary things that you need to learn and know, generally. And I would always learn from guys. But and if you want to hear something about female related issues in business, it would be more like women around 40, 50 years old, who are obviously inspiring and incredible, but they have experiences that are not that relatable to me due to a big age gap and generation gap. So putting all of this together, I was like, oh, I actually have some time to put a course together myself and help more young women to learn things faster, avoid making some mistakes I've made, and just generally have like one source that would tell them most of the things that they need to know to be able to start a business. And the more young women start a business, the better it is for the society, because we can bring a lot to the table with things that are unique to us. And as long as we embrace them, then everything goes well. Another thing that frustrates me and that I've learned just through my experience is that like a lot of the time in business, where like when we're girls, we would be like not necessarily told, but we would feel like we need to be more like a man in order to do business, like all this stuff, even wear a suit to a business meeting, or like be more serious, or be like basically be something that you are not. At least I wasn't. And nobody like kind of told me that I should just be me and embrace the fact that I'm a young girl, and that's cool. And I shouldn't be like changing myself to seem more serious and more like kind of tough and more like manly. So I thought that would be a thing that I would definitely want to share with young girls, and with as many of them as possible. Basically, all of those things that I've been thinking came into one course. I thought, oh, I'll just do a course, because there are probably another 3 months when I'm stuck at home, and that's enough for me to record a course and publish it. And that's what I've done. I created this project called Girls Forward. I don't know how big it will be and how much time I will be spending in it later on, but at least for now, it is one course that gives you a foundation to create your own business pretty quickly. Oh, yeah, it doesn't give you like a huge detail on like financial planning or anything, but it just gives you a foundation on how to find an idea, how to overcome your limiting beliefs, how to be more confident, what does it mean to be a woman in business, like how to evaluate ideas, or how to find a co-founder, how to build your product, how to build relationships with future investors, etc. So all these like little basic things all in one course. That's what probably will be live next month. And I do have a huge vision for it. It's going to be a huge school for helping thousands of women everywhere, but we'll see if I will get there. For now, it's just a course.
Yeah, I think you definitely will get there. There's so much scope for something like that. And you're so right. Like, I feel like maybe you just don't think about it or whatever, but there really is nothing for young females wanting to get involved in business. And I resonated with so much of the things that you just said there. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how that does. I think that you're really filling a space that needed to be filled a long time ago. So that's super exciting. And obviously, listening to you talk and knowing your background as well, you're so young and you've experienced so much success so far. So, what would your personal definition of the word success be?
Hmm, that's a tough question, but I would say that, well, being happy and satisfied and proud of where you are now, I guess that's success. The rest, how big is your company, or how much money you earn, or what's your valuation? I guess on those points, I don't even know you can ever be like, oh yeah, this is success, because it's different for everyone. So I would just say that if you're happy and satisfied and proud and feel like you're making a good impact, then you're successful.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a really nice definition. And I just have one more question for you, and then I'm gonna let you get on with your lunch because I know I'm taking up your time. But if I put your 10-year-old self in front of you today, I guess the 10-year-old that thought you were gonna maybe do journalism or something else, but now looking at how far you've come and where you are in this moment, what's the biggest piece of advice you would give that 10-year-old self moving forward?
Mm, well, I don't know. What would I tell her? Um, Everything is going to be okay. Like, be yourself, enjoy. I mean, especially at 10, I would say definitely enjoy life. Like, have a play with parents, spend a good time, because I think, like, honestly, good time is very important, and spending quality time with other people. I don't think I would give any business advice to my 10 years old self, because I wouldn't want to overcomplicate my life at that age. So I would just say, enjoy and believe in yourself, And as long as you commit to take an effort and believe in good outcomes, everything is going to be fine.
I like that. I think it's so important, especially in the world we live in today, to just remember to keep things simple as well for as long as you can, because it gets complicated really quick and then it's not so fun. So I like that.
Exactly, yeah. I would totally just have fun at 10. I don't think you can do much at that age.
Yeah, so true. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Mariya, for giving up your time. It's been so interesting hearing your journey and your story. And I feel like I've learned a lot from you. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you too. Very, very nice interview. Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening, and as always, please rate, share, and leave a comment if you like what you hear. And don't forget to follow at What It's Like Pod on Instagram and Facebook. To find out more about iDAL and Mariya, visit the links provided in the show notes. I'll be back next week on Tuesday at 7 a.m. GMT with more inspiring stories. But for now, this has been What It's Like with Luce.